Thank you all.
Next, we have a tech talk entitled Manufacturing and the Future Fusion Economy, presented by Jackie Siebens, Vice President of Public Affairs at Helion Energy.
Hello, everybody. Well, I couldn't have been set up better to talk about what I'm going to talk about today than that panel just now. So I'll probably be quoting and pulling in some of the things that they all just talked about. But just really quick, I'm Jackie Siebens. As I said, I'm Vice President of Public Affairs at Helion Energy. And I'm just going to start today by mentioning something that we've seen already interwoven through every single talk we've heard. As I think all of us know now, the SCSP Commission on Scaling Fusion recently last week released its report, Fusion Forward. Our CEO at Helion, David Kirtley, is a member of that commission. And when our communications team at Helion asked me, what stood out most to you about this report? My answer was simple. The fact that it exists at all stood out to me. A commission focused not on fusion research, but on scaling fusion, even just 5 years ago, really would have been unthinkable. But it exists now because very smart people see what is at stake and they see what's coming. That fusion is coming now, and that we absolutely need to take this moment as the opportunity it is and see the risks that we're facing. Because alongside AI, the country that scales these technologies first will really gain the strategic advantage of the century. But those same people also understand a hard truth. We in America are brilliant at inventing. We see the future before almost anybody else does. But when it comes to scaling what we invent, well, we've been on one hell of a losing streak, to be quite honest. We're the nation of Edison and Bell Labs and the microprocessor. Things that were born here include the internet, the GPS, and CRISPR. We have more Nobels here in America than anywhere else in the world, but we completely fall behind when it comes to things like actual machines and megawatts. We invented the solar panel, and China built the factories. We designed the chip, and China built the fabs. We've become a nation that celebrates breakthroughs, but then lets someone else reap all of the economic and geopolitical benefits that come with the technologies that we create. And if we let that happen with fusion, if we continue to treat this like a long-term science project, we won't just lose a market. We will lose the ability to lead in things like AI, as we've heard about earlier today, because they need massive amounts of energy to power that technology. We'll lose in manufacturing and national defense. We have to get this one right. We can't let this be another example of where we miss the ball. At Helion, we don't have the luxury to take the long view. Right now, every minute, we are living the urgency. We are living the risk of this moment every single day, because the science for us is no longer the bottleneck. We're on track to deploy the first commercial power plant with fusion in the world in 2028. We can build these plants really fast. As was just discussed on the panel earlier, most of the parts that comprise our systems are small and mass manufacturable. The question is whether we can scale everything around them. the supply chains, the permitting, the workforce, the policy frameworks, as fast as we can actually build the plants themselves. Because that is actually where we risk falling behind. We've now built 7 fusion prototypes at Helion, and the company's only been around for about 13 years. Each one is getting us closer to that critical fusion electricity on the grid moment. Our 7th prototype, Polaris, is operating right now in Everett, Washington, and that machine was designed to do something that no one has ever done before, to generate electricity from fusion for the first time. But building a fusion economy, which is what I want to talk about today, takes a lot more than just proving the physics of fusion. It means building power plants like airplanes, not like airports. Not one-off mega projects, but mass manufactured systems that can be deployed over and over and over again across this country and around the world. Let me show you what I mean. We right now have under construction our first ever plant, also being deployed in Washington State. We began construction this past summer, and we're working our way through the permitting process right now, and there's construction happening on this site every single day. This may look like a niche project, but this is what it looks like to commercialize a new technology in real time, right now. Now, if you know anything about fusion, you've probably heard about ITER. It is the world's largest fusion project. It is located in southern France, and it has absolutely contributed to scientific efforts around the world. But it is also twice the size of Disneyland. Yeah. Now, this, to me, is the perfect example of a one-off mega project, right? It's complex, it's sprawling, and it's fundamentally unscalable. This is not what I would call a blueprint for deploying new technology around the world as fast as we need it. Now, a scalable fusion economy requires a completely different approach, one where power plants are designed like products and not monuments. Helion's pulsed fusion machines are small, and they're built for replication. We're not trying to build a Disneyland. We're trying to build a fleet. But we need the supply chain to support it, and we are dealing with that challenge and taking it on in real time right now at Helion. As an example, at Helion, we built our own high-voltage capacitor manufacturing because we had to. Now, we need thousands of these high-voltage capacitors to operate one of our generators. But we couldn't actually find vendors to supply the specs, the performance specs of these technologies we needed to build our machines. And so we actually hired experts, built out our own team, and built an assembly line manufacturing capacity at Helion to build these. Now, that's the type of thing we need to be doing right now to make sure that we're moving fast and scaling as fast as we are running towards demonstration. And this resulted in high-tech jobs, and it's actually not just lifting fusion. This is the type of work that's going to lift the entire advanced manufacturing ecosystem here in the United States. Now, multiply that across everything the fusion industry will need, from power electronics to magnets to controls to diagnostics. We're not just talking about building power plants. We're talking about building or rebuilding the American industrial base. That is what is at stake. And that's why the policy choices that we make right now matter so much. Now, you've heard 45X mentioned a couple of different times today, and I want to talk about that for a minute, because to me, the introduction of this bipartisan bill to expand the 45X clean manufacturing tax credit to include fusion is a perfect example of the proactive action that we need from our government at this moment to make sure that we are running at scaling as fast as we are at running this last little bit of the race to demonstration. It is exactly the kind of action that we need to see right now. And there's more levers that we can be pulling. And many of them actually already exist. For example, 45X, we're amending it to include fusion. There are lots of fantastic programs at the Department of Commerce that support advanced manufacturing across this country right now that can be opened up to become accessible to fusion. We don't always have to invent new programs. We just need to activate a lot of the really good programs that we already have to get started. And we can establish interagency efforts. Mike was talking about this just recently on the panel. We need to make sure that we're coordinating across the different government agencies, that all are going to be required to take action to support an actual commercial fusion economy. And all of this really points to something that's more fundamental. And this is what I really want to hone in on today, because we're at a point where we have got to start taking a broader approach when it comes to what the role of the federal government is going to be for fusion from this point on. For decades, that role has predominantly been within the Department of Energy and the national labs. But at this moment, when we've got commercialization at our doorstep, we have to do more. We have to activate the full machinery of our government that's gone before and supported sectors like aerospace. We need to activate commerce, trade, permitting. We need to activate workforce support and national security. Because leading right now is going to require that cross-agency national strategy. I really liked the way Mike put it on the previous panel. So many of the problems can actually be solved pretty quickly if you get folks high enough up within these agencies to have good conversations with each other and move things forward. And I think that's particularly true in this current administration. Because here's the truth. The race does not end with demonstration. That is not the finish line. It's really the starting gun, and we should already be deep in training for that race to scale. We know how to get this wrong, as I mentioned earlier. I could write a book about all the ways that we've screwed up when it comes to inventing things like some of the technologies I mentioned, whether it's solar, batteries, chips, where we've raced at innovation and then slowed down and missed the moment to capture the economy that's built on the backs of those technologies. But we also know what it looks like to do this right. And really what's required now is political will to go against and resist our default setting of moving slowly, taking our time, waiting too long, and missing the moment again. And so I'll put it this way for you. This is how I've been thinking about it a lot, because I see a lot of conversations on Capitol Hill, whether it's in briefings or hearings, and the topic is, how can we reshore this technology or reshore that supply chain? 15 years from now, I do not want to be sitting in a Senate hearing talking about how can we reshore the fusion supply chain? How can we bring that back to America? Because the fact of the matter is that once we lose it, once we see a strategic competitor like China capture 80% of the market for a component, our time is usually better spent somewhere else, trying to find new ways for us to lead in different spaces. I don't want to see that happen with fusion. Do you? No. Thank you for the time today. Appreciate it.